Welcome back, guys, to the Crazy Mayday channel. This is, I think we're at right around part 3. I think, you know what I mean? I've been kind of doing a lot of filming, and then doing editing and then uploading. But we're back here, back on our Scag mowers, looking at some of the part 1, part 2 videos. I see you guys really like these things, so that's good. I'm happy to see that. Where I think we're at now, where we left off, just to update anybody, we're working on 2 auction bought 0-turn Scag Cheetah mowers. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, go back in our little videos and check those ones out. That way it'll bring you up to speed of where we're at this point. Where we left off, I believe we took a little vacation. You guys saw that. We went to Lancaster, had a nice time. Where we left off on the 2 mowers, we were doing a lot of TLC stuff that didn't really, you know, need to be replaced, but it just needed to be kind of like relubricated, rejuvenated, and we were trying to like do TLC stuff, right? We were power washing, we were cleaning these things up, so that way when we get to the nitty-gritty parts of swapping stuff out, it was just a cleaner work environment, and that's the way I like to do it, you know what I mean? So I think in this part, what we're going to try to do is I want to get the fuel systems good to go. Like I want to change out the hosing, because all the hosing is really like just kind of dry rotted, and the sun has taken its toll on it. So whenever you touch the hoses, it leaves like this black film residue that's all over you, and you cannot like get it off very easy without really scrubbing your hands. I want to definitely get the fuel systems taken care of. Maybe we'll even pull the tanks in this video. We'll see how far we get. The weather is kind of not so great. It's cold. That's why you see them all bundled up. Also, our parts cannon did arrive. So we have been waiting on some parts to come in, and these things are now pretty much to the point where we can just start, you know, bolting on all our new stuff, tearing down our hydros, basically resealing them. I got all the kits. I got a big order put in on my local Scag dealer, so we have all of our parts that I think, you know what I mean, that I kind of went through these mowers and figured that we would need to replace. So I just wanted to kind of update you guys on that. What else? I think I'm gonna just kind of work on the fuel system in this video, just to give you guys a heads up of what's coming in the next couple clips. I want to work on the fuel systems, and then I think part 4 might be either the deck getting kind of refurbished. We got bearings and springs and stuff like that, and discharge chutes. So that, and then maybe the hydros, basically tearing them down. We'll have to jack up the mower, pull one wheel motor at a time, pull it into the garage, work on it, kind of tearing it down, and I'll film all that, you know what I mean, so you can see. I don't know that I'm going to do all 4, you know what I mean. One will show what the rest of the 3 is going to be like too, so that way we're not just, you know, burning up footage and boring you guys with that. So if you can see one get rebuilt, it's basically the same for the rest of them, right? And then I really want to try to set a goal for myself, maybe not for both mowers, but for at least one, the one that we're keeping. I want to try to get that. My family's going up to our farmhouse where this particular number 2 mower, which is in the back, will pretty much reside, you know what I mean, for the rest of its days. So I want to just try to get that one maybe going 100%, so that they can get that up there sooner than later. Like I said, it is cold and dreary today, weird weather, I don't know. It's almost the end of April, and we're still kind of having, you know, to wear coats and all that kind of stuff, but it is what it is. So I want to thank everybody for watching these videos. It means a lot to me. Please keep sharing the videos, keep liking the videos. If you want to subscribe to our channel, that's great too. I'm not trying to force that on anybody, just like to put it out there. But I'm going to set us up, and then I want to basically just get to work. You know what I mean? My hands are going to be really dirty, so I'm just going to put you up on the tripod here, and you're going to watch me work, and I'll just kind of talk, but I'll probably kick it into a time lapse a little bit so it, you know, speeds it up. It's just basically we're going to work on the fuel system in this part 3 of our Scag Cheetah zero turn rebuild series, I guess we're going to call it. But anyway, I thank you guys so much for watching, and let's enjoy this one together. Hang in there, I'll set you up and we'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so I'm just going to work generally in this area. We have all our emissions. Since these are fuel injected, we have some EVAP kind of lines that go back to a small charcoal canister on either side of the mower. We have our main fuel inlet coming from the T over there where our fuel valve is, to our low pressure pump. Then that goes down to the high pressure fuel pump that actually, you know, kicks the PSI up so that the fuel injectors can fire. But I got this fuel hose off of Amazon. Everybody kind of did rave about it in the comments, or basically just the reviews basically. So I got new fuel hose, so we're just going to go one at a time. We're going to cut all these old zip ties off, and we're just going to keep everything going as it basically was set up in the factory design and layout. And that's basically what I'm going to do. So I want to just let you guys see how that plays out. Like I said, just touching these hoses, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got like black, I guess the hose is breaking down. It is what it is, right, from the sun. So let's get to it, and then you guys just enjoy the footage here. All right, let me see. I'm going to get my pliers. So there's one. It just looks like death. All right, guys, I'm going to change the script here a little bit. This is going to take way too long for us just to sit here and watch me replace all these hoses. So I'm going to just pause the video here once I get the fuel line all replaced and this EVAP line replaced. I'll bring you back. I don't want to bore you guys. I thought this was going to go a lot faster than it is, but it's not. I'm sorry, but just hang in with me, and we'll pick it back up when we actually start probably getting ready to remove the fuel tanks. This is just basically take one hose off, put one back on. I'm sure you get the gist of it. I'm not going to waste our time doing all that. I just want to give you something a little more interesting to watch than me sit here and just replace hoses. So hang in there with me. I appreciate it. It'll be a second for you guys. It'll take me a couple minutes here. We'll get this fuel line done. And then, like I said, I want to try to get like the fuel tanks evacuated of all kinds of just whatever rancid fuel that's in there out. All right. All right, guys, we're back. I did quite a bit of fuel line replacement. Like I said before we cut that video, I wanted to take a minute here and pause and just kind of catch you guys up. So working on the main fuel supply now. The way the Scags work is they have two what they call like saddle tanks. It's a left and a right tank. There's not a way to basically draw from both tanks at the same time. So it's either you pick your right tank or your left tank. That works in two different ways, kind of, in my opinion. If you're on a lot of hilly terrain, sometimes, you know, that can, I guess, if you're drawing from one tank, it can give you less ballast on that particular side if you happen to be on that angle. Typically, they tell you to go straight up and down hills, not really ride, you know, the side of a hill or a mountain. So that kind of works in that way. But another, I think, flaw to that, I'm not a big expert in the mowing industry, so maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If you're not paying attention to your gauge, it has a gauge for the left and the right tank on top of the tanks. If you're not paying attention to your tanks, you can actually run one pretty much out and then stall the mower, and then it might take a little bit to get it to reprime back up and get going again. Sometimes that brings dirt and everything else into the fuel system that might go past the fuel filter. So that's kind of a little bit of a flaw. I'm sure you can buy a different type of fuel valve that allows fuel to come in from both sides and change that out. That's not like a critical thing. So some guys might just like the fuel, you know, burning down from one side because either they got some trash in their fuel and that's beneficial, where they can eliminate the one side until they get time to either pull their fuel tank, get rid of that fuel for whatever reason that, you know, it's causing the engine not to run efficiently. Doing the fuel lines and the vapor lines, these are, because their EFIs are a little bit more tedious with fuel line, they have the vapor line. But I wanted to make a quick note on this. As I saw, the fuel line basically goes to this diverter valve, is the way I explained it, and then it comes down out of the fuel diverter valve. It comes in through this hose, gets filtered, and then makes its way up to the low pressure pump, vacuum pump basically. While I was taking this apart, I did make a note that they have the arrow facing in the wrong direction. So that was another, you know, maybe a mistake on the technician or whatever. He's just working fast. You know, it's a fuel filter. It's probably going to flow one way or the other, but it might not filter the correct, you know, debris going in the wrong direction. So just wanted to point that out in my findings. Also, for you guys that are, you know, doing maintenance to your mowers, if you're hanging on to them for a long time, I mean, it's one thing, but if you're just turning them over, you know what I mean, you're probably never going to get to this point. But I did notice with the fuel line here, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's like a chafe, or basically a cut mark in the fuel line. So that's going to basically cause either, obviously the mower's going to die, it's going to run out of fuel, or it could cause a fire. Definitely don't want that. So if you guys are doing like annual PMs, like major stuff to your mowers besides all the typical little things, definitely check over your fuel lines. I think that's one of the few things that gets missed year after year. You know what I mean? People aren't really paying attention to the fuel line or any of the other cables or hoses or anything like that. It's definitely a good thing to check, you know, every now and then, just to help save yourself some aggravation. So we did get a brand new fuel filter. This is Kohler brand fuel filter. Let's kick this down in my box here. The name for Kohler has changed. I'm sure you guys are now aware of it. It's this new company. Recoal, or I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right, but it's still OEM Kohler stuff. It's just, this is the new company that bought the Kohler name, and they've rebranded a lot of their newer parts. If you get newer stuff from the Kohler, you know, new company, they're going to basically have this branding of label on their packaging. And it might make you say, oh, that's not an OEM piece, but it is. You know what I mean? Kohler's been around for a long time, and I guess they're basically just getting out of the game. We are also replacing the fuel pump. This is the low pressure fuel pump. Sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted. And I did not go with one of the cheap off or knockoff ones. I got the real one, the Mikuni. Did spend some dollars here. This was probably like $35 for the fuel pump. I know there's cheaper ones out there. Guys, this is that same thing I talk about all the time. Some of these areas you don't want to cheap out on. It's only going to make you get frustrated because you're going to be in the middle of a job. That cheap Chinese part's going to let you down. And the maybe $15 savings, you're going to have either an angry customer, you're going to be angry at yourself. Just buy the quality stuff for when it comes to key points of the mower running. You know what I mean? The fuel line, I went with, you know, a cheap Chinese fuel line. It did get very good ratings. It is specifically meant for fuel, so it's not like it's going to get all deteriorated down. But certain things, yes, you can probably get away with it. And I'm going to eat my words here, guys. I'm going to eat my words. But the fuel pump that's on here right now is OEM Kohler. It has 1,000 hours on it. So I did, because of the whole project and everything getting like super absorbent in price and cost, I did go with an aftermarket, made in China fuel pump. Okay, now you're gonna be like, you're a hypocrite. I get it. This mower, particularly the one that's actually going to our farm in PA, this is not gonna be a commercial like property maintaining mower where, crap, the mower died, now I gotta walk up to the customer and say, I can't finish your lawn, I had a mower failure. This is just our personal use mower, so we're only gonna be mad at ourselves. But that being said, the use that this thing will get, very low. The other mower, number one, we're gonna put an OEM Kohler fuel pump on there. I'm not gonna give that to somebody that might be using it as a commercial unit and, talk it up where it's gonna be like, this thing should be good for you. You know what I mean? Obviously, you can't, bulletproof it to 100% saying you're never ever gonna have a problem. That's just never the case. But even new mowers, you know what I mean? You just have warranty with new mowers. But we're gonna make sure that gets an OEM Kohler fuel pump on there. Just did this one to save a little bit of money, you know what I mean? We're just trying to do everything on a budget, right? All the labor's for nothing. So like I said, if we can turn this one out to give us, enough just money to break even to pay for this mower and all the parts, the labor was for the footage for you guys to enjoy and basically give us all a little bit of entertainment. So we're gonna swap this one on there. I'm gonna let the camera roll with that. And then we're also gonna pop on our OEM fuel pump. So stick with us, guys, and we'll keep motoring on through here. I gotta make up a new line for our fuel filter main feed to the low pressure pump. So we're gonna make this up and then you guys will see that. We're gonna make sure our arrow is pointing in the direction of flow, right? The fuel comes in, gets pumped in through the low pressure in this direction. They had the arrow pointing that way, so mistake, but we caught it and it's a good thing we did. I'm gonna hang on to this because I gotta make up the line. All right. And this is all I've been kind of doing, guys, just going one for one hose, you know what I mean? Just getting the old measurement length, cutting it with our hose cutter, pliers. These are real nice. Makes a nice straight cut for you. And then putting on the little clamps and redoing it. All right, so that's the front section. This one's going to be a little bit longer. Go from here. And then just follow the hose basically to a T. I give it just a little bit more. Yeah, I want to make sure we give it just enough. Don't want to cut yourself short. Sometimes over time, you know, the ends can get a little like mushroomed. And if you have that little bit of extra hose where you can make it stretch, it's good that you gave yourself a few extra, you know, inches. Okay. Just food for thought. I got 2 boxes of 10-foot length hose, and that seems to be pretty good. So if you guys are doing fuel line replacement on your Scag mower, in this particular situation where we had the EVAP, if you have a carburetor, you're not going to have the extra little EVAP lines, but 10 feet seems to be plenty. So just giving you guys that little bit of information. Okay, so the direction of flow, basically if you can see the arrow points in that direction, that's where the longer section of hose is going to feed the low pressure pump. I'll get myself 2 new clamps. That's the other thing that hose came with, these clamps. I don't know if they're going to rust out in a week or whatever, but at least they give you new clamps with that, so that's a good thing. Another thing, going back to the fuel pump, the Chinese one, the one that I told everybody to get OEM so they don't have any issues. I said it before in another video. I watch a couple other, you know, good lawnmower repair YouTube channels. That's all they do. And the one good guy that I watch quite frequently is the Terrell Fix It All. I want to give a shout out to him channel. Those guys are out in Indiana, I think, a small little town. And he shows basically taking a Kohler OEM fuel pump that had failed, very, very short runtime, maybe, I forget what it was, maybe 15, 20 hours, and it basically, you know, crapped out. So he had said, you know, he showed on his video that basically he wanted to take it apart and basically see what the inner workings were. So he took the OEM fuel pump apart. He got the aftermarket, which was, you know, a third of the cost basically of the original Kohler, took it apart and basically had to Frankenstein one back together. His thought was, I could probably buy, you know, 3 or 4 of the Chinese branded fuel pumps versus the one Kohler fuel pump that would still probably fail. And his thought was, I'll take a couple of chances on, you know, replacing the fuel pump basically with the Chinese one. So that's why I kind of leaned a little towards, you know, putting the Chinese one on here or the aftermarket one. That one, like I said, I'm gonna just stick with the Kohler. These had original Kohlers on them, and they, I'm guessing, made it 1,000 hours. So fingers crossed, I hope that the next one will give that mower another 1,000 hours. So, all right, so that's that. So we got our fuel pump in, now we're going, we got our fuel filter in. Now we're gonna do our other little hose. This goes up to our T. You guys are probably gonna want some good needle nose or hose pliers for this. Be careful, these things like to fly out. I'm just going to slip this on. Make sure you get it all the way seated in. I like to date the fuel filters as well. I have a little label maker. I can put a label on there. Sometimes the Sharpie marker will fade out. If you don't put any labels on your fuel filters or filters, whatever hydro filters you have, it's always good to keep a little tablet or a book, you know, with just times, you know what I mean, hours and dates. And that way you have a reference, like, all right, the fuel filter's got at least, you know, 100 hours on it. Let's change it. You know what I mean? All right, guys, so that's that. I'm gonna get another clamp on here and we'll get it snuck back up under there. And then I'll bring you back as soon as we're starting to get ready to put the low pressure fuel pump on and the high pressure fuel pump on. Stay with us, guys. We're doing good stuff. All right, guys, we're back. So we're gonna work right here in this area. Placing the fuel pump. Set that right there. This is the low pressure. Okay. Let's get our pliers. Got another clamp. This one's on the backwards. And it has some jacket material over top of it. So we're gonna reuse the jacket. I'm guessing they put that there for just chafing protection. As far as, I mean, this fuel pump was working, right? This mower ran, so we know that going forward. And I want to just say, like, would you want to keep the fuel pump as a backup? I don't know for sure. I mean, it is an OEM Mikuni. I think what'll happen, even if you did keep this, I think what would happen was this thing would just dry out. The fuel inside here would dry out the diaphragm, and this thing being already 7 years old, it's just going to be a dust collector. So more than likely, it's just better, good cheap insurance, just throw this thing away, grab yourself a new one, you know what I mean, and just roll with that. So let's put this guy back on. Let me see the fuel. So it's got a P for pulse, and that's going to go to this one. Let me see, just double check. Yep, that one's coming out of the engine. So that's going to be your vacuum pulse right there. That's going to pump the diaphragm. Our inlet fuel line is going to go onto the inlet side. So let me grab that. All right, so that one's going to be right here. This fuel comes in from the fuel filter. Then our pulse and our out. So let's get the other one pulled out of there and replace that fuel line. This one's in a tight spot, guys. I'm not going to try to get you down in here. Wow, it's in a real bad spot. So, let's see. We'll get it though. Pull that jacket up a little bit. Let's take this. Let's make it easy on ourselves, right? All right, let's take the jacket down, get our hose clamp off. Throw that in the scrap pile. Let's pull our jacket. up and out of there. This stuff's like a Chinese finger trap, so you gotta work with it. Okay. A lot of dirt. Okay, so that's just the little extra chafe protection. Now we can get our pliers on a little bit better. This is definitely a tricky one to get to, guys. I mean, it would be easier if you removed a lot more stuff, but when you're trying to go that crazy. All right. And what I'll do is I'll just break tension on the hose. I got the clamp up enough. I'll make a slice in it so there we go. And now we can pull up on this. There it goes. All right. And there's our hose, guys. That's what we wanted to get out of there. So we're gonna do the same thing, cut ourselves a nice little length. And about there. That goes in the pile. Get ourselves 2 new clamps. That up there for now. Let's snake this down in here. Just want to work this clamp up a little bit so we don't have to fight it when we're going through here. Okay. You know what, guys? I'm going to try to make it even easier for us. The fuel pump is kind of in my way. And since we got to take that off anyway, I'm just going to remove that at the moment so we can get behind there. So let's pop this baby off. Okay. Get this one here. Set our bolts up over there. There is 3 on this one. Yours might only have 2. Put our bolts over here. Let's remove our electrical. Careful with this stuff, guys. As stuff gets a little aged, you know, things get brittle, and you don't want to break your connection. All right. And now we can use a pick and sorry, I'm taking all the view away. Hopefully you guys can kind of see what we're watching or working with here. Nope, doesn't want to play nice. Okay. So I was able to just use that gray part of the connector there, push in on that, and that was out. It allowed me to pull up on that. So, okay, so that's kind of out of our way now. So yeah, now we got full access to our hose. So FYI, if you're doing this, you might want to just do that. Save yourself some frustration, aggravation. Make sure we get that pushed on good and well. Put our clamp back on. Okay. All right, now we're gonna put our chafe protection hose on. Make sure there's no debris left in the hose. We don't want anything going down our pulse line. Okay, so that's good. Get another clamp for that. Nah, I don't like that one. That one's a little bent. We're gonna toss that in a pile. Got me a better one here. Okay. All right. So now working on our fuel pump here. This is the high pressure. I'm gonna pop this hose off. Pop that out of the loom. Okay. Pop that hose off of there. So I want to replace this guy here. Same thing, we're gonna take this aluminum foil jacket off. There's a clamp in there, so let's take this clamp off since we can get to that one. Just trying to twist this around to get it to move. You know, it's been in the same spot for quite some time. Okay, so that has more of a permanent clamp on it. So what I'll do in that case is I'll put a good little hose clamp on there. I have a small one. We'll pop that on. But just showing you all the dirt and crap that was built up in there, not good. All right, let's get this one. I'm gonna pull this off, put this in the pile box. All right, so this is our hose here. I'm gonna slip this over it. Clean that out real good. And then I'm gonna put that high pressure clamp, hose clamp, I'm gonna get a regular hose clamp, cinch that over that, put that on our new fuel pump, and then we'll attach this back to the low pressure fuel pump. Hang in there, I'll be right back. Okay guys, we're back. I got us a new hose clamp here. Just gonna tighten this up just a smidge. Okay. So now what I want to do is release the high pressure side here. There's a little clip underneath. You can turn it, press this clamp or this release clip in, and it'll pop off. Just going to drain some of the residual fuel out of there. And there's your fuel pump, guys. So that's an OEM. You know, I might actually just blow that out, save that, and keep that with this mower. In the event that that Chinese one does crap out, that part, I'll probably, even though it says do not open, I'll probably open that up, clean it out, and just spray it up with some WD-40, and then just keep that on the shelf for a good backup. In the meantime of like ordering another, you know, fuel pump, it just helps keep you mowing. You know what I mean? It might take you, I don't know, half an hour to swap this out at most, and then you're back up and going. So that'll be just something good to hang on to, because it actually still does work. So I'm not going to throw away a good part. Anyway, let's get our new aftermarket fuel pump pulled out of the box. This did come with a fuel filter. I don't know that I would trust that fuel filter, but it did come with one. So pretty much looks just like the OEM, except doesn't have the branding. I'm just gonna check, because like I said in the Terrell Fixes All video, the plug here, there's a little notch out in the plug, and so I think Terrell had an issue with this plug, so he had to kind of Frankenstein the lid and something with the bottom, and he made it work. So I just want to double check that with you guys. Yes, ours is indexed correctly. So, and it is, you know, meant for this horsepower engine. There are quite a few of these for different horsepowers, so definitely keep that in mind, guys. It's not a one-size-fits-all fuel pump, so you definitely got to do your homework to make sure that that is the case. All right, so that guy's gonna go on there. So I gotta reorient my hose clamp. Yeah, let me move him around. Okay, so this guy's gonna go on here. Gotta loosen up the hose clamp now. Okay. All right, make sure that that goes on real good. I might do it like that because what we need is we need room for our high pressure. This is the output. This is basically the input. This is a vapor return back to the EVAP. So I don't want to give us, you know, fitment issues of running into hitting that screw head. That's why they used the style clamp that they did. Clamp this guy down. Okay, give that a little bend. You definitely want to reuse your heat jacket because, or if this is no good, just definitely replace that because it's so close to the engine, the fuel will have like chance to vaporize is what it talks about. So you don't want that. Let's get this guy down here. Okay. Looking in here, I want to clean this fuel outlet out a little bit. There's some gunk and stuff in there. Sorry you guys can't see this. I'm just picking out some dirt and stuff that's in here. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. These little dirt particles of just junk that's built up around the actual fuel quick connect. That's what I'm just cleaning out. All right, so that's good and cleaned out now. Okay, so we want to connect this guy back up. Basically, this is just a push to connect. There we go, you got it to click. Now we're gonna put our vapor line back on. I'm actually going to put a clamp there so that stays nice and good. I have an extra bunch of clamps, so let's do that. Might need a bigger one, okay. Okay, let's get this guy in here. All right, now that that's on, put some good tension on that. Nope, I don't like that. That's not good. Slid right back off. All right, we need to get the smaller one. All right, let's get on the struggle bus here. There we go. Okay. All right, just gonna slide this on. Now, what you guys see. Oh, someone else must need me. So let me work this on and then I'll show you what we got when we're done. And that's what I like. Right there, the hose is nice and taut now, so that's good. Guys, that's lunch calling, so I'm gonna get going here for a minute. I'll take a quick break, grab some lunch, and then we'll be right back. We'll get this fuel system pretty much all buttoned up. Need a screw. I want to put at least one bolt in here. We'll get this fuel system buttoned up, and then we'll be ready to start working on removing the tanks. That's basically what I want to try to get cleaned out. I mean, these things only came with one fuel cap, which that tank did have some fuel in it, which was good, but it was old. So, you know, I don't want to leave that old nasty fuel in there. I want to put nice fresh fuel in, and I want to clean out any debris or gunk that's maybe built up in the bottom of that thing, so we don't have any other, you know, fuel clogging issues coming forward. So I appreciate you guys watching again. I know I keep saying that, sounds like a broken record, but it does mean a lot to me to see you guys, you know, watch our videos. We're a smaller channel right at the moment, and just trying to grow, you know what I mean? It's crazy to see, you know, I get excited about, oh, there's lunch again, guys. I don't even know where the phone is at. So like I said, guys, I get excited about, whoa, you guys almost took a tumble. Anyway, I get excited about you guys watching our videos. It means a lot to me. When 80 to 50 to, let's just say, 100 people watch our videos, it really makes me feel like people are enjoying what I'm putting out there. Because I just see, and I know we're not there yet, our channel's not there yet, but I see like so many videos that have been out for like an hour, and they already have like 1,500 or 100,000 views already. So kind of a little bit like, I hope I eventually get there. So anyway, lunch is calling. I don't want to make the missus too mad, so let's get in there. I'll get some lunch, and then we'll get right back out here to doing the fuel system. I'll see you in a minute, guys. All right, guys, we're back. We just had a nice little lunch. Like I was saying before, when we had to go in, just doing the fuel pump here, making those last little bit of connections, and then we'll hook up the low pressure pump, put that back on the engine cowling, and then I think I want to get ready to pull the tanks. At first, since this one does have, it's got a little bit on the gauge, basically shows just a little bit more than a quarter tank. I bought a little siphoning tube. I want to try to get as much gas out as possible. The other fuel gauge is showing dead zero, so I don't know what the hell's in that. That one had no fuel cap on it, so it might have a whole bunch of just dirt, trash, maybe a lot of water. I don't know. You know what I mean? It sucks that these guys took the fuel caps off, because, you know, it makes our job a little harder. But anyway, let's get back to it here. I'm going to put you guys up on the stand so you can see how we put this thing back together. It's nothing too crazy, but stick with us, and we'll get you back up here so you can see. All right, guys, so we're left off with tightening up the fuel pump here. Got to get these bolts started. Let's make sure we route our wire. Don't want to forget about that. For the fuel pump, just got to go back behind here. Okay. This is what I was saying, guys, about that old fuel line. See all the blackness all over the hands? That's just the rubber breaking down, so that's kind of hard to get off your skin. Just saying, you really have to scrub your hands to get that off. So wearing gloves is pretty much a no-brainer in my book. I'm gonna tighten this baby up. Okay. These 3 mounting bolts, you don't have to kill them, just a good snug is plenty enough. I'm gonna actually too, I just want to give you guys a little reference of some stuff. So with doing all this replacement of stuff, you know what I mean? It's like, why do all this? You know what I mean? Why spend all the extra money on replacing things unnecessarily? I look at it as, you know, an ounce of prevention goes a mile of satisfaction and reliability. So I'm gonna make basically a documented, like, just sheet of when I replaced all the stuff that we're doing. You know what I mean? So I have like a little checklist of things that I can go back on. If one of these things gives us a failure, we'll have like an hour meter reading, we'll have a date, and then we can kind of put a timestamp on certain things, you know what I mean? But I just want to give you guys that little bit of a food for thought if you guys are doing anything like this, and you might be using it a little more heavily. Some of these parts actually come with a warranty, so in my case, the warranty will definitely run out of time before we get any actual physical hard time on these parts. So my warranty will probably be voided out just because of, you know, just time that goes on. You know what I mean? Not that it wore out from being used too much. So it's always a good little thing to do that, because I found even with things like at my job that I do a lot of repair, and these guys utilize the machines quite a bit, that you just don't realize how much time actually goes by so quickly. And you say, man, I thought I just replaced that. Well, actually it was like 2 years ago. So I just always like to do that for a reference, you know what I mean? To say, all right, yeah, that's, you know, that's probably, you know, about time that it took to fail, or, you know, basically, you know, it's hit its useful life. We'll kick that to the side like that. Okay, so that's our inlet. It's fuel coming in. This is our pulse. It's labeled with a P, and this will be our out. So let's put this guy on here. This is our pulse from our engine. I got to move this clamp down just a smidge. Okay. There we go. All right, now we can rotate that clamp. I like to kind of do these clamps in a way that they're not going to snag on somebody's hand. You know what I mean? If you're trying to reach something down in there, you're not going to get cut or caught by, you know, a hose clamp or something like that. So that basically just going to rest down in there like that. Let's get our bolts. Get these to go back on. Okay, there's my little tighten these guys back up. These little bolts don't need much torque at all. Just snug is good enough for them. When we're done, we're also going to zip tie a lot of the hoses, so that way they are not getting chafed or rubbed against something that could cause premature failure. All right. Let's put our hose clamp on here. Okay, beautiful. Get this oriented down. Okay. There we go. Okay. Like I said before, if it's been some time since you got back to a certain part, the other good thing about having another mower is you can just reference it, right? Go right over there. All right, that's the way it did run. So that way, you know, in case you forgot, you can always look back on your video, but it's nice just to go right here and boom, look at another mower, just see the orientation of something if you've forgotten. All right. Let's see now. Okay, so we got our fuel pump tightened. High pressure pump is all put back together. Our low pressure pump is done. The fuel line there is done. So now, like I said, I want to basically work on these tanks, and I want to get them drained and cleaned out. So let's do that next. I'm going to set you guys up so you can see this a little bit better, and then we'll work on it together. So hang in there. Let me get this set up. All right, guys, we're back. I had to do a couple little things here to get pre-planned setup going on here for removing the fuel tanks. First little thing, I'll set you down here. First thing I wanted to mention is our display cluster. Basically, 3 little bolts, 10 millimeter, I think. Remove them, then this panel can come out. Get you in a little closer here. Okay. So yes, so our control panel, it basically is our display, our throttle, and our PTO and ignition switch. I'm gonna remove the 3 bolts. That's not the right size. I must have put the tool down. Hang on a minute. There we go. All right. Yes. It's actually 3/8, not 10 millimeter. So I'm gonna remove that out of our way. We also have to replace the throttle cable. I did get 2 new throttle cables, one for the mower 1 and mower 2, because those were really kind of just stiff, and I don't want that, so I want us to have a nice smooth throttle action. Put that bolt down. So that's basically just a quick little undershot of your control panel. Just put this to the side. Be careful where that lays. There's nothing else really in the way. Our fuel tank fill. This is our gauge and our vent line. Our supply is on the opposite side of this. But to get this tank off, there's 2 bolts in the front and there's 2 bolts in the back here. We do have to remove our wheel. Not a big deal. We have to remove that anyway. I'm going to chalk that up with some wooden blocks because we got to get to our hydros anyway. So we'll be pulling the whole hydro out, but not in this video. So let me jack up the back end. I got the jack set up back here. We'll remove the tire and we'll get ready to pump down the fuel tank. So let me kick you back here. There we go. Put you in a safer spot. There we go. Okay. So let's jack the back end up. Okay, I got my wooden block over here. Set that down. Release the jack. There we go. I'll leave the jack as an additional support. Now, gotta get our lug nuts off. Yes, I already pre-loosened these. They were not hand tight. Just get this off. Okay. Definitely put some lube on those nuts when we go put it back on. The inside of the wheel, nothing too special about that. Got a couple of the old tire plugs in her. All right. All right, now we can access two 1/2-inch bolts on the underside. Bring you in close so you can see them. All right, we're gonna go under here. So those are the two bolts I'm talking about, these two right here. And then there's two more right over there. So those are the four that we're gonna remove. And then that will allow us to take our fuel tank and pretty much remove it from the mower. Excuse me. Okay. I think that is all of them. Let's see. Oh yeah. So that baby's ready to come off. Pick the fuel tank up. Try to move some of the fuel to the back. There we go. This fuel doesn't look too bad, but I got a couple empty jugs here. Just going to use this for basically fire starters and our makeshift suction setup. So I'll just put this in there. Give her a couple pumps. The arrow shows it going this way. There we go. Okay. You know what? Since it was running off of this, and we did have a fuel cap, I'm actually going to pump this into one of my jugs that I use for gasoline anyway. I'll let that just mix and it'll be fine. The other tank, which we knew was wide open, we'll use this and pump it into here because we don't know exactly what was in those tanks. But this did have a cap on it, so the fuel in here is probably pretty good, or good enough to run lawnmowers. Hang with me. Let me grab my gasoline jug and we'll pump that in there. I just don't want to waste this good fuel, especially at $4 a gallon, just to burn fires. Hang in there with me and we'll get back on this in a second. This pump was $6 at Harbor Freight. And my thought was I don't do a lot of fuel transfer, and I figured with the longer little hose on here, I'd be able to kind of get into nooks and crannies, but this siphoning thing is not probably going to work that well. But at least it'll do the job for what we're trying to do now. And if I have to, you know what I mean, I'll just empty out, wash out the tank, let it air dry, and once it's good and dry, we can fill it up with fresh fuel. All right, I'm going to hold off on that, give that a little bit of expansion. Put this back down in there. Oh yeah, got a full tank now. Okay. Now, some more of the fuel come to the back. And we'll fill up this. Right, clean these up. Might as well while we're here. Okay, do this one. Sorry guys, must be allergies or something. Looking at this and this over here, I did not really take a good look at the underside, but let's do that now. All right, it doesn't look terrible, but what I think I want to try to do is give this a little bit of cushion, because I can tell like the plastic's been rubbing on this a little bit. So I want to add a little bit of like just an insulator to kind of help keep the plastic from wearing into the metal here and here. So I'm going to go find something, and I'll bring you right back as soon as I find something that we can make work with this. Hang in there. All right, I found some extra weather stripping rubber. This was the seal, the slide out seal for our camper that I replaced in another video if you guys want to look at that. So I'm gonna just cut a little strip of this. It's got a little sticky back, which is nice. And I'll probably just run a little strip here. There wasn't really anywhere there. Definitely allergies, guys, I'm sorry. And then I'll put another strip here, and I'll just notch out for the bolts. So, and that should give us enough to do probably both mowers. I mean, there's still plenty here. So, all right, let's grab our utility knife. It's in the other room. All right, got our utility knife. Let's just take a quick mark of that. Say right about there. Do straight across. Okay, peel back the sticky and set this guy right there. Beautiful, and that'll just give us a nice little buffer for that gas tank to sit on, you know what I mean? And then that way it'll prolong its life, and it won't end up basically chafing into the tank. I did look these tanks up, by the way, guys. Scag wants, I think I saw on their actual site, and they were actually, some of these were discontinued already. So to save them, definitely try your best, but I don't know if a lot of people have issues with them or not. Scag wanted like almost, I think it was 500 and some change for these tanks, and like I said, some of them were discontinued. So I don't know if this is really a big deal to most. Some guys would probably get rid of the mower before the tank went bad. Or maybe they just are robust enough that they don't go bad. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a mower guy. But anything I can do or see while we're doing this repair, I want to basically mitigate any future problem. All right, so now this strip we'll put here, and then I just want to notch out for the bolt holes. So I guess right about, cut a little square out of this, and I'll show you this, guys, in a minute. Okay. All right, so that's what we got. Let me get you in closer. That's what we got. These two little holes here, and we're just gonna set that on there like that. Perfect. Pull back our sticky. Okay, set that down like so. And then now we have that one there and this little strip right here. So just an extra, you know what I mean? You don't have to do that. I just did it because, like I said, I just want to maybe save this from having a problem later. All right, let's get on to removing the gauge. I haven't done this before, haven't watched a video on how to do this. So you and I will hopefully see it for the first time. I'm assuming it just goes into a rubber grommet. So let me grab my screwdriver and we'll try to pop that out of there. All right, guys, so here are the new ones. They did come with a new rubber grommet. One is shorter than the other, so why that is, I'm not sure, but we'll just match it up. This might be the longer one, and we'll replace it. So it's just, looks like a rubber grommet is the only thing holding it in. So let's see if we can't, this has actually got a number on it. Let me see if it matches this number. 2745. That might just be a date for manufacturing. Yeah. Okay. It's just a date. So let's get a screwdriver. Can you see this? I don't know. Let's pan you down. There we go. So right here, this guy. Down right there. Okay. I think it should just pop out pretty easily. Yeah. Just take your time. It's plastic. All right. So nothing too crazy with that. Just came right up out of there. So that's nice. If yours loses the top cover that actually shows you the fuel, you have to buy the whole thing. Number one mower, it lost the top, and you can't just buy the little cap. At least I looked, and I don't think you can, but according to Scag, you got to buy the whole gauge, so you got to get this whole thing. So that's just a food for thought there. All right, put this down in a safe spot. That's the smaller one, guys. So let's undo that. I like to orient the gauge so it reads to you. Let's put a little WD-40 on the rubber here. Okay, that's lubricated. Drop that bad boy in. And then I guess it's just going to be a quick push. Yep, perfect. Okay, Nothing too crazy or hard about that. Okay, I might actually, sorry guys, I have to kick you up a little bit. I might actually paint these. I don't know why. I guess it's my ADHD or whatever. It's just bothering me. I want to make them look new. So I might just tape this off, tape that off, this, the vent up here and this little back here, and just give it a quick rattle can of black paint. But not right now, and I won't bore you with that. So this one basically is ready to go back on. I'm gonna get us moved over to the other side, and we're gonna do the same thing. We gotta take the wheel off, and we got to basically remove the oil tank on that side. It's pretty much in this same area. And then do the same thing. We're gonna swap the fuel level sensor over on that one. And we'll keep going. And then I think I might wrap it up for a video for part 3 on that. And like I said, we'll get back to doing probably the hydros next. Since we have the wheels off, we'll do a wheel motor reseal. I'm gonna save this guy. So, all right, let's keep going. I'll get us set up over there, and we'll do that one. And then we might call it a wrap for this video. All right. All right, guys, we're back on the other side. It's a little cramped in here, but it's what I got to work with. So we're gonna remove this fuel tank just like we did the other side. Another thing that came to mind about the fuel tanks being obsolete and like, why would you ever have to replace it? Well, like this one's kind of showing, you know, the fuel tank's right here, right? There's no other protection to the tank besides its makeup, right? So it looks like this thing's had some battle scars with either fencing or trees or just, you know, other things running into it, going down the road there or whatever. It's, you know, it has some battle scars. So going back to that fuel valve thing, if you did, God forbid, you had a pierce or something in your tank, you could, you know, I guess eliminate from drawing from this tank, you know what I mean? Obviously, yeah, it's gonna leak out. That's not gonna be good. You don't wanna be smoking or nowhere near anywhere there's gonna have some kind of sparks going on, because you're not gonna have a good day if that happens. So anyway, maybe that's why you would replace the tank in the event that you got like a catastrophic cut in the tank where it started leaking out. Then you would have to probably replace it. So that just kind of came to mind while I was off camera there thinking about, you know, why would you ever have to replace a fuel tank? But anyway, let's get this part of the oil tank removed from that little nook that it's in. I'm not sure what these bolts are. No, this is 1/2 inch. Sorry, this is for the underside. 7/16. 7/16. Okay. So this is where your hydro oil would be if you had to fill it, or if you were doing a service and basically you had to refill it after draining your hydros down. Just 2 of these bolts up in here. Okay, set them down. Let's see. Okay, that kind of comes up. Has this tether attached to it here. Okay. This is one tank for both hydros. Our tank's empty. There's a leak. So we already know that with this mower. The hydros were basically dripping, so I have a drain pan underneath there, and we're doing the whole reseal anyway. So let me see. Looks like the bolts on the side that hold the tank in, that was just a cover plate that we removed, are going to be the 3/8. So I'm going to remove them. Nothing special about that. Weather's cooperating a little bit better today. It was a little nasty this morning, like I was saying, with that rainy mist weather. And this camera I'm using is not good for that type of environment. So we did get some luck there. There's the 2 bolts there. Now these 2 rear ones. I did end up taping off the logos here, the back one, and then obviously our vents and our fill. We're gonna paint that tank up, and we're gonna paint this one as well. I just want it to look good, you know what I mean? Put a lot of effort into it, and I know I've said it before, it wasn't gonna be like a full-on restoration, like turn it back into a 100% brand new mower. That's not the case here, but just certain pieces, if we're already kind of there, might as well just do a couple more little touches to it, you know what I mean? So this one had the fuel cap off of it, so it was open to God knows what. Doesn't sound very full, but I'm sure whatever's in it's not good. So let's get this tape off of here. Like I said in a previous video, you know, my job actually does send, you know, older mowers that we replace to the auctions, but I don't think that we really strip them of parts. We like to have them running and, you know, functioning so we get the most dollars at the sale, right? You know, this thing, you know, it sold cheap because it was a non-runner, you know, it was in the condition that it was in. So, you know, I guess maybe some of the municipalities just don't care. Like they could get $1 for it. It is what it is, you know what I mean? But if it was my business, I would want, you know, at least my equipment to go to the sale somewhat running. You know, I could see if it was catastrophically blown up or something. Okay, yeah, it's not going to run. I'm not going to dump money into putting a motor into it and just to sell it at an auction. But like to strip parts off of it, I mean, these gas caps were expensive. They're $50 a piece, but you know, I don't know. Like I said, it's just weird, some of the thought processes. But anyway, I'm sure they have a brand new mower that replaced these 2. Let's get this little cap out of here, and then I want to take a better look down inside. Gonna take this fuel slosh part out. So we got that out of there. Okay. Pop this baby off. I'm just gonna flip this up. I want to take a look. Okay, yeah guys, this tank definitely got some nastiness in it. What just fell was the actual plastic doodad that goes on the end of the gas cap. But this one definitely has water in it. Yeah. Not looking hot. Okay. So let's remove the sending unit, or not the sending unit, but the actual float level, and then we'll see about extracting that plastic piece out of there, and then I guess we'll just do our best on trying to clean this thing out. I mean, I guess I'll just take a little bit of the old gas, pour a little bit in there, shake it around, throw a rag down in there, let it, you know, grab whatever it can grab, pull the rag out, and then we'll just hit it with the blow wand. I'll hold off on putting the new one of these fuel level sensor in so I can kind of blow in that direction as well, and then we'll just do our best to clean it out, and that's going to be that. So yeah, let's get that done. Let me get that piece out of there. So we're back. It's a cramped working environment. I want to get the little fuel gauge out. Being careful to do this a little bit at a time. Just work yourself around. Get this thing to pop up out of there. You don't want to force it, you don't want to break it. Okay, so that one's intact. Let's see, yep, gauge works perfect. Okay, it's nice, it's not rusted, so that's good. Yeah, there's some gunk down in there. All right. Just want to clean these up, and then we'll jump back on the tank. Someone's screaming. Definitely showing some wear there from the tank. And guys, we're going to do this stuff to the same thing that we're doing here. We're going to do that to that mower as well. Just because we're not going to keep it, does not mean I'm going to neglect that one any different. I just want to kind of show you, you know, what we're doing here to this one. And we're just going to copy it on that one. But guys, let me know in the comments, is 1,000 hours typical for like the hydros to go bad, start leaking? Maybe it is, I don't know. These are very robust units, so I'm not sure if it's a common thing or not, but, or maybe these mowers just weren't, like, I guess, taken care of as well as most with fluid changes, so there was a lot more dirt, so it took out the seals, or they were just maybe running crappier sandy conditions where the sand got into the seal and pretty much caused this thing to be one big leaky mess. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd be interested to hear from you guys if this is a common hourly you know, repair. At 1,000 hours is typically when, you know, the seals will go bad and you have to reseal it. I mean, 1,000 hours isn't a blink of an eye either, so I understand if it's just normal, but just curious. Okay. Save the rest of this in case we, well, yeah, we're actually going to need the rest of this to do that one, so let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'll have just enough actually to do that mower, so that's good. We'll save this and that'll be reused up on that. You never know when you're going to need your scraps for something, guys, so I know it becomes like hoarding buried alive, don't get me wrong, but some of that stuff like that rubber wasn't cheap for the camper, but I like having my seals to seal and keeping the bugs out. Okay, so this guy's going to be right here. Just going to do those little windows again for the bolts to go up through. Beautiful. Okay. It's a nice little upgrade to our fuel tank rest pads. And then that'll hopefully keep them from wearing through. All right, so let's move over. Let's see if we can't clean that tank out a little bit better than it already is. And then all right, guys, we're back over here now. Yes, so let's see if we can't use our hook tool and pull this. My mic's, yep, mic's still on. Pull this piece out. Lost my tool. Can't get your hand in there. Pause for a second. All right, we're back. I got my grabber tool. Probably should have just started with this. There's our pick tool. And then the part we were trying to get out of the tank is that just keeps like the fuel cap from getting lost. It just kind of holds it in the tank. So this is trash really. So that can go. All right, so now looking in here, definitely got some gunk in the tank. Not terrible though, but it got some gunk in the tank. And I want to try to get some of that gunk out of there. So let's push this baby in there. See if we can't sop up some of that water. Okay. I'm going to try to get every little bit of water down to that back little corner. Got some dirt. All right. See if we can't pull out some of that water. Definitely got some crap down in there. Yeah, there's a leaf. Let's get that out of there. Tiny little leaf. Still some more water. All right, that rag got a good amount of it out. That one's too dirty to jam down in there. Let's put another one down in there. Just want to take this tank to the backyard, scrape this dirt out of this one little corner, and then we will pour some of that gas in there, slosh it around, and see if we can't get that to kind of like flush out most of the tank. Okay, let's dump our old gas concoction in there. That's probably enough. I'm not gonna go crazy. It's just more gas that we have to get out. Okay, I'm just gonna slosh this around a little bit. All right, guys, so now let's get our fuel suction tool out. I have to get primed here. See the cloudiness of that fuel now? Oh yeah, all that caca. See, the water will mix with the gas. It'll eventually kind of separate, but okay, set that back down. Let's take a look in there now. Very minimal gas in there. Much better now, guys, so that's good, right? These will become burn rags. Make sure we don't throw any more dirt down in there. This is a nice clean one with no water on it.
Get all the stuff out of there, push it down to the back end. We'll have to do the same thing to the 2 front tanks, 3 tanks on that one, because that had no fuel cap whatsoever. So I think what I'll try to do here is we'll pull this out. Sorry about that. Pull that out. Whew, yep, just got some gas on it. I want to stick this down in the front and let that kind of wiggle around in there. It's going. And just work the rag around the front here to kind of get anything that might be lingering. This is pretty much the lowest point of the tank when it's sitting up, in its spot. So this is where that straw basically draws from. Okay. Take another quick look. Yeah. And that straw has a fine little mesh screen on it as well. So that's good. Like your first line of defense for sucking up anything. Okay. I would say this tank is pretty good and clean.
Yeah, we'll be fine with that. Okay, so now that we got our secondary fuel tank cleaned out, I think, guys, I'm going to call that a wrap on this video. We were able to remove the right side fuel tank, the left side fuel tank. We got our fuel gauge in the right side. We're going to pop the other one for the left side in here shortly. We were able to clean out the tank here. I am going to paint both of these tanks. I'll do that off camera. It'll be a quick rattle can job. I'm going to tape off the logo areas so we don't cover that up, and then basically give these things a quick shot of the black paint. We also added our small little rubber insulators to the underside of our fuel tanks just to help any kind of wear and tear over the next however many years these things survive. It'll help mitigate that, and also it might actually, another benefit, I didn't think about this just till now, is static electricity. These plastic tanks, they get static electricity to the metal and the ground, so having a little bit of rubber insulation between that might help with a little bit of mitigating the spark. Not sure on that, but just take that as my little 2 cents here. What else did we accomplish in this video today? We were able to get our fuel line replaced, our new fuel filter, our new fuel pump on this one. Did some of our EVAP line as well. I know I didn't video all the fuel line replacement. It was kind of a little monotonous. I didn't want to bore you guys with that, but we were able to do all the fuel line and the EVAP line on this one, number 2 mower. So that one was a big success. I have another 2 boxes of the 1/4 and the 3/16 to do mower number 1. So that's good. I felt good about that. I wasn't sure on how much I actually would need to do the complete, replacement of the fuel line, and that was good that I had enough of that. So there's still got to be some neating and tidying up of the actual lines with some zip ties. Once we get the fuel lines hooked back up to our tanks, we'll do that. Just a couple zip ties on that. So I'm gonna say we're gonna leave it at that. Part 4 is coming. We're gonna work on, probably in part 4, we'll finish up with doing the fuel tank, basically reinstallation. They'll be all freshly cleaned out, painted up to look spiffy, and then we'll make our connections back up to our tanks. We'll put in a little bit of the fresh fuel in each tank, just a little bit, just enough so it can draw from each one. And then we won't put the wheels back on just yet, because we're either in part 4, we're gonna either jump on the mower decks or the hydros. I'm not 100% sure how I wanna do it. I might do the mower decks, truthfully, get them done and situated. I got new blades for that. We got new discharge chutes. We got new pulleys and bearings, so we'll definitely make a good little video on that. And then we'll probably maybe finish up number 5, part 5, with the hydros, doing them, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna basically do the one video. It'll probably be enough, probably an hour video just to do the hydro rebuild. And then we'll probably make number 6, if I had to take a guess, number 6 video, just to give you guys a little, middle of the road here, future forecast, basically, Number 6 will probably be the last little bit of TLC stuff. So we'll probably do a final power wash in number 6. I got new decals for the control panel. We got new PTO switch for the control panel. It might throw in that throttle cable. Little more TLC painting probably. And then I got a new seat cover for this one, so we'll pop that on as well. And then we'll probably have to do it in part 6 as well. It might be a part 7, guys, I don't know. We'll do the bleed out of the air in the hydros because there's a whole process on that. I got the book, so we'll go through that and just get all the air out of the hydros and get them fully back up and going again. And then I don't know if there'll be a part 8, but maybe part 7 will be the finale, guys. We'll get this thing basically back to 100%, right? So that's what my goal is, and I hope you guys enjoy these videos. It's been taking a lot to make them. I'm sorry, there's just a lot going on in the background as well. Just with side jobs and making money at other places to make money for these projects for you and I to enjoy and work on. So definitely been a little bit of a costly expenditure, but I'll go over that in the last video with you guys. We'll do a breakdown, like I said in the beginning, of how much we spent on both mowers, and we'll just basically divide the cost, right, between the two, and that's what will come down to a bottom dollar number. So appreciate you guys watching again. Please throw me the like, share the videos with whoever might find these videos interesting, and I appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one, part number 4, coming up soon, guys. I'll try to throw out a video every week, so just to give you guys a heads up. But it does take some time to edit these things out, so I'll see you in part 4, guys. Later. Oh, thank you for watching the Crazy Mayday channel. It wouldn't be a channel without you guys viewing, so I'll see you guys in part 4. You guys take care. Enjoy your summer. We got some more camping videos as well, so I'm going to throw them in too, kind of break up, like I said, the monotonous of the mower rebuilds. But I know you guys like them both, so we're getting there, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Later.